Mike.
The truth now.
Mike? Sorry. Still talking to the call screener. Let's. Who do you want to talk about? Who do you want to talk to?
Let's go with Theo.
Theo is on 6. Theo.
Hi,
Hey
Theo.
guys, what's up?
Hey, you're talking to Eric and Jenna. What's up? What would you like to
Yeah,
talk
I'm a
about?
long-time fan.
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
also atheist and skeptic.
Okay.
Congrats.
Yeah.
I was actually on both Discords, on Street Epistemology and on ACA, but I got banned because I'm so opinionated. But I don't think I'm really disrespectful or anything. I think people have a problem with universal ethics. That's my topic.
Universal ethics.
Okay.
Could you define universal ethics?
Yeah, it's basically an ideal we make that we think there must be justice unheard of subjective opinion. I would say that's exactly what we humanist skeptics are promoting. You know, like trans rights, like freedom of sexuality, the
Wait.
human rights.
I missed your definition.
Yeah, the definition kind of went over my head a bit. Could you say that again?
The definition for what?
Universal ethics?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's an ideal, you know, an abstract we try to approach
Okay.
for getting fairness for everybody,
Okay, how-
unheard of subjective.
So getting fairness for everybody, you said unheard of subjective. This might be a language barrier, but that doesn't make any sense to me.
You think that doesn't make sense?
No, I mean I think that this might be a language barrier. It might be, you know, it's like potato, airplane, pineapple, you know, fair.
Let's try it with mathematics.
Well, no,
Would you say mathematics.
I'm asking you to give me a different explanation. Can you explain the definition in a different way using
Yeah,
different
I'm
words?
trying.
Okay,
Look,
go
if you take mathematics as example, let's say, is mathematics subjective or objective for you?
Well, it's the same for everybody, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's math is true, unheard of subjective opinion, and that's what I claim is the same for secular ethics.
True, unheard of, subjective opinion. Okay, so can I rephrase this?
Sure.
Sure. So are you saying that there is an ethic out there and that you are promoting ethics that have nothing to do with people's opinions, but just are what they are? It's not subjective.
No.
It's not
It's
subjective.
more like, if I may, Matt Dillahunty, he always used the Rawls' wheel of ignorance. That's basically the model to get you to an objective ethics.
Well, it's not. It depends on what your goal is, and yeah, if we all agree on the same goal, then we can objectively determine what is the most ethical thing to do. But when you bring up mathematics, there's a unique problem, and that is you can't go from is to ought.
That's exactly what I think is not true.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
That's why I'm always in
think
debate
you
with
can.
the guys, with the moderators on the ACA and on the Street Epistemology.
sure.
And they just, I think you need to fulfill your burden of proof to show me that there cannot be objective ethics.
Okay. So
Otherwise, that's a claim you cannot hold.
okay. So my understanding of ethics is that we need to agree on what the goal is. And once we agree on what the goal is, then we can keep moving forward. Why do we agree to what the goal is? If the degree, if
Question
the
to me.
yeah, like human well-being or human flourishing, right? Maximizing happiness and minimizing pain and suffering. If we were to pick one of those, we can move forward and talk about ethics in a way that we understand.
Absolutely.
But choosing that goal, how is that objective?
And because we choose the goal from nature, Rawls' wheel of ignorance is basically you take all the natural players and make justice rules as if you don't know which player you are.
Okay, the veil of ignorance, yes.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. You can still have an ethic that is totally off the wall. So let's say that I think that, I make up a religion around donuts, and you've got to eat donuts every day or else you're going to go to hell. Mm-hmm. Then if I was creating this society using the veil of ignorance, I would be making it pretty donut-centric, because I would want to give everybody the best opportunity to go to this heaven. Let's say I had a goal of, I don't know, convincing people that they need to turn to Christ. Then what I would probably do is use the veil of ignorance and go, okay, I want to, just to explain the veil of ignorance for people who don't understand what that is. The veil of ignorance is the idea that when you're creating a society, if you want it to be the most just and fair, create it recognizing that you do not get to pick who in that society you get to be. So you could be at the top or the bottom. And when you do that, you're more likely to get fairness. And so what I'm saying is, if somebody thinks that the big goal should not be human flourishing, it should be conversion, then they're going to instill a theocracy. They're still using the veil of ignorance, but because they have a different goal, it's going to be different, which is why it's still subjective.
Wait, what? They can use the veil of ignorance to get to Christian values?
No,
I'm aware of.
They're informing their goal on their Christian values. So
no, but that goal isn't even in the veil of ignorance.
No, and so when you're talking about human flourishing, right? When you're using the veil of ignorance, you're talking about building a fair society, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're building this fair society, what is fair? What is the objective? If we say the objective is human flourishing, then we can objectively come to a whole lot of decisions, and I'll probably follow you most of the way through it and agree with you. I would say. Now,
human flourishment.
Now, the goal is not necessarily that. You're assuming that what you would put there is what everybody else would think of.
No.
Okay, then why is human flourishing necessarily the result?
Let me try it from this side. The theists argue from objective morality through divine morality.
Divine command, yeah.
Divine command, exactly. And the new modern law does actually put the divine aside and go for secular natural law. That means the nature is our goal, preserving nature, preserving us.
Yeah,
who decided that?
Yeah, that's still subjective, dude.
Well, you can say it's subjective, but it's intersubjective for all humans, you know.
And so because you are positing a claim, you need to back up that claim. I gave you the explanation as to why I believe it's subjective, because you still need to agree on it. And if you're agreeing on something, you're still making that choice, and it's not objective. You can't do it like you could do math. And because of that, is what it is.
You need to agree on ethics.
Okay, well, let's just say that I can point at humans and go, okay, humans are destroying the planet. The existence and continued growth of humanity is causing species to completely die out and entire ecosystems to just go away, that they're warming the planet through this pollution that is causing global warming, that they are irrevocably changing the biodiversity of the planet. And so the right thing to do would be to severely limit the human population. Would you imagine
that's necessary?
Well, what I'm saying,
I don't think that's the necessary.
No. Theo, I'm giving you an example. That's all. It's just a thought experiment.
Yeah, no.
I'm not asking you to agree. I'm just saying I can give you a reasonable idea here that I could say that and say the objective thing to do is to kill a whole bunch of humans.
Well, I have an objection to that.
Why?
Because that's not the necessary mean to prevent the harm we do to this planet and to ecology, I would say.
That is a conversation
we have science, we have biology, we can check out what's sustainable and what not. I think we can do a lot better than killing ourselves.
You can lead a horse to water, but that doesn't mean you can make it drink. I'm sorry, I just backed up the snap, didn't I?
Well, but it seems like you're claiming that sustainability is an objective goal.
For us, life, who wants to live, yeah.
Well, but why do you think that?
We want to sustain. You have grandchildren. You want to
Well, but there are people
live
that
a
don't.
happy life.
No.
Sorry?
There are people that don't.
Yeah, sure. There are also inconsiderate and unethical people.
Not necessarily.
But we have to
I mean,
educate.
that's an assumption.
Do you think I'm inconsiderate and unethical?
No, not really.
Okay,
But
then
I think it's this is-ought problem is a false dilemma. That's exactly the problem of many skeptics, activists, I think.
and I agree.
Rationality Rules does the same thing. He has a video completely failing on universal preferable behavior.
I haven't seen that.
You are promoting universal preferable behavior in the way that you are making yourself strong for LGBTQ rights. And we both agree those are really objective ethics. It's not a question, it's not subjective. We have to grant the rights to those people.
I agree. And it's because we agree on the goal.
Right.
Theo, you're assuming something that I have not agreed with you on.
Which is?
Which is that we necessarily are going to come to the exact same objective to base that ethic on. I just gave you the argument from Thanos, just for that reason. But it's still
it's
stands.
not a good argument as long as I can say we can fix the world better without killing people.
But then that's a conversation that you can have with Thanos. I'm trying to give you examples to show that.
I'm doing it with every Thanos that calls himself humanist but says there is a is-ought problem.
You have not convinced me that there's not a is-ought problem.
So it's interesting. Hold on real quick. So it sounds to me like you're saying that because this earth is thriving and living, that the ultimate goal, whether or not there are people, is to be thriving and living. Is that what you're saying?
It's more that good and bad derives from us living beings. So good and bad is always a quality we attribute to our life.
And
so then if there were no people, then would good and bad exist?
If there were no consciousness, then there would be no good and bad, yes.
I said if there were no people.
Well, there could be aliens who have ethics.
Okay, so you're saying that there could be aliens that have ethics that could still keep good and bad alive if people would let it die. But what if there were no aliens? Okay, so then, let's go with consciousness. Let's say there's no consciousness. Then would good and bad go away?
Consciousness, good, bad go away? Yes, with consciousness, there is no consciousness, there is also no good and bad, because good and bad is just a concept of us, an ideal we make up, an abstract.
Well, but the reason that I'm confused is because, there was a time before people and consciousness on this planet.
Sure.
So when do you think good and bad came about? I mean, so do you think...
There was also a time before mathematics, Yeah. But math ruled the universe ever since, and we just found it out. And that's the same for ethics, basically, for me.
So because there are people, that means that there are good and bad. It's interesting.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I was just trying to follow.
Yeah, just exploring it. It's a kind of a fun, rabbit trail. But Theo, I feel like we're starting to go in circles.
Yeah.
But this was a fun conversation, and I'm glad you're having it. Challenge people. Cool. Get people talking about it. Get people thinking about why they do what they do. I like it. As long as it's respectful, caring, and respecting, people's autonomy and humanity, I'm happy. So take care, brother.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the kind of conversations I like to have. Sorry, I kind of took it off topic a little bit. That's the kind of conversations I like to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.